Hello and welcome to Mang's lecture. This is lecture 2 in the series of derivatives. Today, the first thing that we are going to do is swaps. So, swaps क्या है? Swaps is an agreement between two parties to exchange a series of periodic payments over a certain period of time, let's say 1 year or let's say 2 year. So, on each settlement date, both the parties will net their payments, and only one party, which has a liability to pay, will make the payment. And so, there is only one hand exchange of the payment. Okay. So, at the initiation of the contract, there is no principal exchange between the two parties. Most of the times, principal is not exchanged. In some cases, let's say a foreign exchange, a swap happens between two parties, then it might be that the principals are exchanged. So, no payment at initiation, most of the times it is not done. But as I told you as an example, sometimes in the forex swap, the exchange happens. Now, what is a swap? हमने ये तो कह दिया, it's an agreement of series of periodic payments, but ये है क्या? Let's assume there is party A and party B. Party A says to party B, party A ये assume कर रहा है that interest rates are going to increase in the near future. Okay. So party A says to party B, I will pay you a fixed interest of 4%, and that will be given to you every quarter. So let's say 4 by 4, 1% each quarter. And you will pay me whatever the interest rates prevailing are. So the party B assumes with it that the rates are going to decrease, and he is ready to accept the 4% as fixed. Okay. So party A becomes a part pay fixed and party B becomes pay floating. So फर्स्ट क्वार्टर वन में जब दोनों पार्टीज मिलेंगी, लेट्स अज्यूम द इंटरेस्ट रेट गोज डाउन टू 3%. It is against what party A assumed, that interest rates will go up, but they have gone down to 3%. So party B now is in a gain of 1%, and so the party A will pay party B 1% on the notional principal. So let's say अगर 1000 रुपीज़ का डिस्कशन हुआ था, तो 1000 पे 1% is what party A pays to party B. This is called as a swap. This is a plain vanilla swap where is a fixed and a floating interest rate are used. Okay. Now there is no payment at the initiation of the contract. Okay, as I told you, these are custom instruments. They are similar to forwards. So if you remember in the last lecture, I will be sharing a link of the last lecture where we have extensively studied what are forwards and futures. So they are custom instruments as forwards are. They are, as forwards, they are not traded on organized secondary market. They are unregulated. There is a default risk. Let's say the party A on quarter one doesn't agree to make a payment, there becomes a default risk. While the major use is by institutions, not by individuals. Where do individuals go? They will rather buy an option. Okay. So plain vanilla swap is pay fixed and receive floating. There are sometimes called as a basis swap. So let's assume party A says I will pay you LIBOR plus 35 basis point, and party B says I will pay you MIBOR plus 25 basis point. So whosoever will have a liability will pay across. So that is called as a basis swap. आगे चलते हैं और अब हम स्टडी करते हैं what is options. Options are one of the more important type of derivatives, because here it gives the owner the right but not an obligation to either buy or sell the underlying asset at a given price. तो let's assume मैं आपसे एक option buy करता हूँ that I will buy $100 from you at the rate of ₹45, let's assume, each dollar. So this is an option, but on 1 month later, when the option expires, if the rates are not as per what I thought. See, I was assuming the rates will go up, and that is why I have bought an option from you that post 1 month I will buy dollar at 45 rupees. It's just an example. But let's assume the rates go beyond or below at 40. I have no obligation to buy this dollar from you. I just have to pay you a premium to enter into the contract. Again, no principal is exchanged at the initiation, और मैं वो आपसे contract नहीं खरीदूंगा. That is what an option is. So option in itself is I have an option to either buy it or not exercise my option. So buyer can choose to exercise, but seller को obligation होता है, whatever the buyer has done, they have to perform accordingly. Now, owner of the call option is called as the buyer of the asset. Owner of put option has the sell or sells the asset. Okay. So if I am doing a call option and I'm the buyer of the call option, मैं buy करूँगा asset को. If I'm the seller of buy option, I will sell the asset to you. Okay. And vice versa. Now, a long call is buyer, long put is seller. Okay, and again, long put is okay, and the short call is the seller, and short put is the buyer. आगे चलते हैं. There are two kinds of options, American options and European options. इन नेम से ये सजेस्ट नहीं होता है कि they are traded in America and they are traded in Europe. Their definition means that American option can be exercised up to and including maturity. तो मतलब समझ लीजिए अगर मैं 1 महीने के ऑप्शन में आता हूँ 1 month, in an American option I can exercise it before or at maturity, while for a European option I can only exercise at maturity. Now at maturity, value of both options will remain the same, but before the maturity, American option थोड़ा expensive होता है because you have an option to exercise it before maturity as well. Let us take it further. We are now discussing credit derivatives. Credit derivatives is जो CDS होता है, credit default swap, एक one type of example. You would know when the 2009 financial crisis happened, you would have studied about CDS if possible. So it's a kind of insurance which the buyer of a bond buys. So a contract that provides bondholder, the buyer, with protection against default and downgrade of bond. तो मैं एक buyer हूँ bond का. मुझे कुछ सीरीज ऑफ पेमेंट्स आने हैं. लेट्स से Q1 में $100, Q2 again $100, then 3 and 4 quarter I am going to get a payment. But let's say I assume I bought a Kingfisher bond, and now to be protected against any default, I buy this CDS. So if any default occurs, they will make me a payment which the bond has to pay. Now the protection, the company that is selling or the party which is selling me at CDS will pay me that amount. Now there is a credit spread option also. Basically, let's assume I said that if GSEC plus 30 basis point is what I am buying a credit derivative for, and if this threshold is broken, you will make me the payments. So these are what are called as credit derivatives. So they are kind of I will make the payment till there is no default. The bondholder or the credit derivative buyer will go on making the payments, and when there is a default, he will get a one-time payment. Okay. तो ये होता है credit derivative. Now, if you, as we were saying in options, there is a call option and sell option. Now let's see what is a call option payoff. How does a call option pays you off? Strike price, मतलब कि जो price पे मैं वो security buy करूँगा, 1 month or 2 months or 3 months down the line during the tenor of the option. The strike price is that price. I will, as I told you, we will have to pay a premium to the seller, जिसको हम राइटर भी कहते हैं. तो जो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट राइट करता है मेरे लिए, जो सेलर है, उसको मैं एक प्रीमियम दूंगा $5. तो मेरा ब्रेक इवन प्राइस क्या बन जाएगा? $100 तो मेरा स्ट्राइक प्राइस है, ₹5. सो $105 इज़ वॉट माई ब्रेक इवन इज़. सो वट डज इट मीन्स? इफ द प्राइस goes beyond $105, only then it is profitable to me. So let's assume there is a profit on the y-axis and there is a stock price on the x-axis. So I bought, let's say, Amazon share, and I said I will buy at 100 rupees post 1 month. I am assuming the prices will increase. I have locked in the price of $100 today. Post 1 month, let's say the prices is at 100. What is that? I have is -$5 because that is my maximum loss of as a buyer. But when the prices go beyond $100, till 105 I will break even. Beyond this point I will benefit, and this benefit is limitless. Let's say prices go off to $130, I will earn $25. The seller will be in a loss of 25. So there is that's his one hand exchange of payments. The seller will pay me back. But let's say the prices are 95, I will leave the $5 and I say I will not exercise the call option. So this is this is how a call option pays me off. If the prices go beyond 100 plus $5, $105, I will start to gain out of the call option. Else the seller, who is only making $5, which is the premium, will only make $5 by selling me the option. Now you can say, why will a seller do or take such kind of a risk? Because there is, in a market, always there is a party which has a counter thought what you have, and this is how the markets operate. Now let's say a put option payoff. Now I assume the prices will go down. I want to lock, I want to lock in the $100 price today, and I say to party B that I will sell you Amazon share post 1 month at $100. I am assuming the prices will go down, but I have locked in the price of $100. I will sell you at $100 this Amazon share. So strike price is $100. The premium that the writer, or this time the seller of the put option takes is $5, and the break even is $95. $95 के beyond जितना price decrease करेगा मुझे फायदा है, because I will be able to buy, let's assume post 1 month, Amazon share is $90. So I will be able to buy at $90, and I have already done an agreement to sell at $100. $5 is what I paid as premium. So I make 100 minus $5 minus $90, which is $5. So such is a kind of payoff. Again, the buyer of a put option or the long the put option has a maximum loss of $5. Maximum gain for short put is $5. Maximum gain is $95. Maximum loss is $95. So this you have to see that a put option has a limited gain and a limited loss, while a call option has an unlimited gain and an unlimited loss. There are sometimes when people talk about derivatives, they say they are considered as a risky investments. Excuse me. But what are the benefits? The benefits are hedging. Let's say I have Amazon shares today, and I am assuming the prices will go down, so I can hedge my risk, and I will buy a put option that I will sell it to party B at $100. So I am basically locking in my price post 1 month. So it helps in hedging the risk. It reduces the transaction cost. So how is it reducing the transaction cost? I have just to pay $5 for 100 rupees. I don't have to pay the entire $100 upfront. So in case this is helping me reduce the transaction cost. Now when we say it provides price information, what is that? So let's say we look at the interest of people who are buying the call, and there is called as an open interest. The open interest is the amount of call input options open for a specific price band. So this helps us to understand what will be the price of security, let's say 1 month down the line. So these are the benefits, though there are criticism that it's a very risky investment, but there are benefits also. Last but not the least in this series is arbitrage. So what is an arbitrage? Arbitrage is, let's assume there are two places, place A and place B, which are selling apples, and they're selling $1. A sells it for 12 apples for, let's assume, $1, and B sells it at place B, it is sold for 12 apples at $150. Let's assume the markets are free, I can freely trade between the two markets. What will you do? आप buy करोगे from A at $1 and you will sell it at B at $1.5, and you will be making a gain of 50 cents per 12 apples. This is called as an arbitrage. Buying and selling a markets are, it's a pure play market. There are no transaction cost involved, because if transaction cost come into play, the whole concept of arbitrage is beaten up. Now, so this is what I told you an arbitrage is, when we are buying and selling apples. Let's assume for two securities also, if we believe two securities have similar cash flows, similar kind of managements, so both security A and security B should sell at the same price. But let's assume security A is expensive, security B is cheap currently. What will you do? As an arbitrager, you will buy B and you will sell A, and you know that later on the prices will converge. Why will they converge? Now if we come back to the apple example, we will understand. More and more that I sell in cities B the apples, the supply will increase, right? And more the supply will increase, the demand is less, supply is more, the prices will go down. And city A, I am increasing the demand by buying apples to sell in market B. More and more do I buy there, the more the prices will increase. So someday these prices will converge and the arbitrage opportunity will cease to exist. Okay, so in the case of securities, if I can buy, let's assume I can buy, I can take loan at risk-free rate. So risk-free rate is, let's say, the GSEC rate or government securities rate in India. I can make more than a risk-free rate. By investing $1, I can make more than, let's assume the risk-free rate is 4%, and by holding an asset or holding a portfolio, I can make 6%. So what will you do? You will borrow at risk-free rate and you will invest in the portfolio, and that is how you will make a gain. But let's assume that in portfolio B or asset B will give me returns which are lower than the returns or risk-free rate. What will you do? You will sell the portfolio, invest at risk-free rate and gain. So risk-free rate minus portfolio B, जो कम return बना रहा है, and I will make that return. Now what does an arbitrage helps us to do? It again helps us in valuing or pricing derivative securities. How? As I just told you, we get what the pricing is. we were able to come at the right price of the security. By doing this arbitrage, the prices of Apple came at a stable point in market A and B. As I told you, also holding a portfolio generates more than there is an arbitrage opportunity. Uh, they bring arbitrage asset prices to efficient levels. Law of one price: if two securities are trading with similar cash flow, they should trade at a same price. Thanks. This is the end of the first part of the series. Uh, I will be bringing next lectures very soon. Request you to subscribe to the channel, comment for any questions, and follow for new videos. Thanks a lot and best of luck.